coffee's back. Why are you so short? What is one thing every photographer we typically work with says about us?
That we're easy to work with.
Easy to work with. So I've seen this question come up many times across many different wedding videography Facebook groups, and I figured I'd share what me and my wife do that has almost every photographer we're working with tell us how easy we are to work with and loves giving us as a recommendation. So the first step is going to be make sure, one, that you're easy to work with. If you find yourself having photographer after photographer kind of be a pain in the ass for you during the day, maybe it's time to reflect, look back, and see if there was anywhere in that day that you could have been better. Maybe you were a pain that kind of triggered them to go off, because not every photographer is looking to, just out a videographer. So if it's happening again and again, there is probably something you're doing that could be improved upon. The second thing you're going to need to do is you need to understand where they're coming from. Chances are they've been in the industry longer than you. Maybe you're new and starting out, and they've built a brand and have a reputation and more to lose than you do. So the chances of them giving you control during the day probably isn't going to happen. You need to learn how to get the things you need with what they're doing and understand where they're coming from. When it comes to doing details, one of the things we like to do is we like to show up about an hour before the photographer. The way we do details, we use a slider, we use different rigs, and we find that if we show up, it puts us in front of the couple before anyone else. We've done the details, so now we're out of the photographer's way because that's an important section for them too. And then you're not standing over their shoulder trying to, get the same exact shot that they're setting up. Set it up for what you want. Make sure to plan out the time to do that. That way you can do it the way you want to do it and not be in the way when they're trying to get what they need. Step number 4 is we like to ask the photographer to give a verbal prompt. First, we let them know you can have complete control over the posing section. We're probably not going to ask for much as long as you're moving them. But the one thing we do ask for during this time is to stand back when you're prompting them. A lot of photographers like to walk up to the couple and put them in posing by touching them. Just ask the photographer, stand back, verbally prompt them, let them try to do it. After a few seconds, if they can't do it, then feel free to walk up and get them exactly how you want to, but we're looking for that in-between movement, and this tip right here helps out a ton. The next thing I can suggest is, as a lead videographer, stand next to the lead photographer. When they move, you move. Don't be so concrete in your ideas that if they're moving around and kind of getting in your way that you can't get the shot you want to. My final tip is knowing when to ask for what you want. We don't ask for a ton during the day, but if there's something we want, we certainly interject. We'll ask to redo something without flash, or we'll ask to do it again but add some movement to it. Simple things as them touching their dress. Hey, step back, now walk up to your dress and grab it. That way we have the movement. Know when to ask these things, and have a Zoom meeting with your couple beforehand and express your ideas. Let them know the things you want to do. That way the day of, when you ask for it, they remember it, they're excited about it, because a photographer is thinking about photography. They're never thinking about videography. Even if they work with videographers all the time, they're thinking about their job. So it's okay that you do ask for things because they're not thinking of it, but make sure you talk with the couple, because if the bride expresses interest in the things you've talked about during the day of, it's going to be no problem, unless the photographer is just a bad business person and wants a bad review and all the other things. That's going to do it for this video. I hope these tips are helpful for you. Really, just be a pleasant person to work with and be good enough that you can get what you need to get no matter how the situation's going. Don't suck. Peace.